In 1992, after the fall of the Soviet Union, a metal door underneath Leningrad University, now restored to its original name, St. Petersburg University, is found. The door is welded shut from inside and is currently in the process of being reopened. We have found a journal by an unnamed author outside the door. On its cover lies a mercury-like liquid. Date: September 11, 1948. Today, at 6:32 p.m., we have uncovered a piece of asteroid from Krasnoyarsky Krai, Russia. At altitude of 60.884 north, 101.890 east, at the site of the original Tunguska event on June 30, 1908. The asteroid piece is measured to have a volume of 0.0349 cubic meters, a mass of 478.21 kilograms. The surface of the asteroid has a yellow layer, presumably sulfur, with inner layer presumably composed of carbon, iron, and phosphorus. Radioactive measurements seem to indicate a hollow layer in the center, which is surprising considering the mass and volume of the object, as well as the high pressure and temperature upon impact. The asteroid has a roughly trapezohedron shape. The asteroid will be studied at the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, afterwards brought back to the motherland. September 15, 1948. The sample has been examined with electromagnetic spectroscopy. The electromagnetic spectrum indicates, in terms of mass percentage, 23.14 carbon, 5.83% iron, and 0.021% phosphorus, most of the carbon being unified within the inner layer, suggesting a net covalent structure, which also explains the reason for this shape and resistance towards impact. This also means these elements account for 28.99% of the asteroid, and the other 71.01% mass is attributed to other compounds. It must be noted, however, that while observing the spectrum, a strange pattern composing of purple, blue, and red is seen, indicating elements within or above electron configuration of 7F Geiger counter measurements also indicate there to be gamma ray emitted from the core. I currently hypothesize the content within the uranium-235, an ingredient to atom bombs. However, further investigation is needed. The head director, Dr. Sergei Pavlyuchenko, has approved the transportation of the sample to Leningrad University for further studies. September 22, 1948. After much effort, we were able to break open the sample. The core has a volume of 0.0314 cubic meters, and to our surprise, contains liquid with appearance similar to mercury, though its poor electricity conductivity, low boiling point, as well as radioactive suggest otherwise. The liquid is in extraordinary pure state, with 99.98% purity, and its inability to decompose suggests it being a single element. The liquid bears no similarity to any of the elements found within the periodic table, with electron configuration possibly higher than 7F14. Using freezing point depression, we determine it has a molar mass of 2,451.2 grams per mole, more than 10 times the heaviest element, uranium. This is very exciting. We might have discovered an element not found on Earth. It will be a scientific breakthrough. This lab notebook might end up in the Polytechnic Museum. The Ministry of Education and Science has been contacted. We must await their response. We shall await the response. The greatest discovery in chemistry yet shall be discovered within the motherland. September 29, 1948. Today is the most glorious day of my life. The leader, Joseph Stalin himself, has come to our lab to personally announce his approval and support. He said out loud to all the faculty members This discovery is a first sign of a progress in surpassing the West. As a sign of this support, the great leader announces a 1 million ruble fund, as well as 5 prisoners from Siberia, to be used as experimental subjects. The prisoners consisted of Dmitry Petrovna, age 34, a bourgeoisie who plotted to overthrow the government; Gansko, age 31, a prisoner of war and former Wehrmacht SS soldier from the Battle of Stalingrad; and Marisa Thompson, age 26, a CIA agent under the name Maria Gorbachev, who managed to smuggle herself into the motherland. The prisoners were promised freedom but exile if they cooperate, and they are expected to begin experimentation tomorrow. We hope to find success in our experiment. September 30, 1948. We have begun experimenting on our 3 human test subjects. While this may seem cruel, our condition is likely far better than that they have experienced in Siberia. The prisoners were first injected with elements 119, Stalinium Si, the name for the newly discovered element, and named after the great leader Joseph Stalin, in varied concentrations. Dmitry Petrovna, now known as Subject 1, was given the 100% concentration of 0.001 liters. Gansko, now known as Subject 2, was given a 70% concentration in 0.001 liters. Marisa Thompson, now known as Subject 3, was given 50% concentration in 0.001 liter. Immediately upon injection, subjects experienced weight gain as expected. However, despite the heavy density, blood flow remains largely normal with little change. After 3 hours, subjects started to experience nausea, headaches, and even asphyxiation, though only for a minute. Also happening was sporadic blood pressure and changing heartbeat rates. Despite these signs of declining health, the subjects were still able to breathe and eat normally and do their daily routines. October 2, 1948. Over time, the subject's metabolism seems to have increased most exponentially. The subjects now consume over 8 times as much food as usual, and would experience even severe signs of malnutrition and starvation if the food amount is denied. Subject 1, with the highest concentration, ate almost 10 times the ration he used to eat, yet did not experience any signs of weight gain, even lost more than 14 pounds. For the subject's saliva and blood sample, there is 12.5% concentration of stalinium. Biologist Mikhail Alexandrov thinks the rapid spread due to cells absorbing the elements without the need of an antigen or any sort of receptor. It might be a forced entrance, though there appears to be very little necrosis in the process. October 5, 1948. Subject 1 is now consuming 52 times more food than usual. When food is denied, Subject 1 becomes aggressive and has on more than one occasion attacked his fellow subjects from the ration, and even tried to bite researchers. On more than one occasion, we had to tranquilize him and bind him into his bed. He would then beg for food, crying and wailing for hours for a time. After about 4 to 5 hours, he would regain his aggression, sometimes even ripping off his binding ropes. Only when given food does he stop his aggression and returns to normal for a period of time. Subject 1 has lost even more weight, only now 85 pounds. His face has grown ghostly pale, and his stalinium's concentration has increased in 87.8%, 75.3% higher than his last recorded concentration. Subject 2 and 3 have a concentration of 63.6% and 49.2% respectively. October 8, 1948. Subject 1 has died of malnutrition and starvation. Before he died, he was begging for food, despite having just ate his large ration. When food was denied to him, he tried to attack, trying to swing his arms to hit the handler, yet was too weak to do it. All he did was stare coldly into the handler. The handler immediately quitted her job, but no matter, she will be sent to Siberia immediately. We cannot afford losing our discovery to the West. Now back to subject 1. We dissected him and found the concentration of carbon compounds in his stomach to be extremely small, only 0.00021% concentration, which, considering his giant diet, is rather shocking. However, his selenium concentration was extremely high, 98.4%. Not only was his nutrient concentration rather low, his stomach has shrunk in size and almost that of a potato, presumably from stomach self-digestion. We suspect that this is greatly connected to the selenium injected. Subject 2 and 3 are starting to experience similar symptoms, though on a much smaller scale. Subject 1 has been disposed of by dissolving in hydrochloric acid. October 12, 1948. Subject 2 is experiencing slight increases in metabolism, yet it is still controllable. However, Subject 2 has started to experience cerebral hemorrhage and has deteriorating memories. He started speaking in unintelligible languages, staring at the wall and hallucinating. His symptoms are getting worse over the days. He would simply sit on his bed, whispering words and staring at the wall for hours. For the spinal fluid collected, there is a selenium concentration of 78.4%, indicating the element has reached his brain, yet did not damage his brainstem in the process. Subject 2 has also grown extremely close to Subject 3. This might be simple relationship or it might be an effect of selenium. We will continue our observation. October 13, 1948. Subject 3 has been found pregnant. We presume Subject 2 impregnated her while we were away. Subject 2 has been forcibly moved away into another room and would aggressively scream continuously. We had to gag him to stop from screaming. Subject 3 adamantly defends Subject 2, insisting there be no interaction whatsoever. We dismiss her claim as simple emotional response, and deciding whether to allow the infant to live or abort it as soon as possible. October 16, 1948. We have decided to allow Subject 3's infant to live. Biologist Mikhail Alexandrov said the child can be studied to see the effects selenium have upon the progeny. Thus we decided the child is allowed to live as long as it is used for research, and will be disposed of immediately upon finishing the experimentation. Strangely, the child appears to grow faster than normal infants, and at a steady rate despite the poor nutrients possessed by the mother. As the child grew, the mother seems more and more sickly, showing more and more signs of malnutrition and starvation. Subject 2 would now stare outside the observation window and laugh maniacally. We believe the element selenium has finally reached the frontal lobe and is now distorting his emotions. We have discussed about whether to euthanize Subject 2, however, in the end, we determined he was too valuable of a resource to be abandoned. October 24, 1948. After a night with Subject 3, biologist Mikhail Alexandrov said he is quitting the research, leaving Leningrad, and moving back to Moscow. Whatever he saw, it affected him deeply. We have lost our only biologist, and our lack of progress has been straining the leader's patience. We were informed by a letter from the Ministry of Education and Science that we must make a full report on October 30, 1948, or face complete withdrawal of support from the Communist Party. We all know if we didn't make a decent full report, we would face more than just withdrawal of support from the Communist Party. October 27, 1948. Today, we have witnessed the birth of an unspeakable monster. Subject 3 was treated with cesarean section. The child that was extracted was no child. Its form was disgusting. Even now, as I write this, I cannot forget that image. It had no skin. Its muscles were of mercury color. Bones were extruding out of its limbs, specifically through its posterior deltoid, teres major, and median palatine suture. It was bleeding, not with red human blood, but a mercury-like liquid. The child was born unconscious and lived for less than 1 minute before dying. 5 nurses fainted. Dr. Gregory Babushka vomited upon the floor and immediately left the room. The child's body is placed in formaldehyde. Its mercury blood is extracted and will be studied upon. For now, I am simply hoping to avoid that monstrous abomination and forget its existence. October 28, 1948. Subject 3 has just died of severe shock. The body is to be examined and later disposed of. Subject 2 has been laughing maniacally ever since. We believe this is due to stress and lack of nutrition in the brain. The best course of action is to tread lightly. We mustn't lose another subject, nor are we to reveal the deaths of subjects 1 and 3. October 30, 1948. Subject 2 has been laughing the past 2 days. He has recently been giving anesthetic, and finally ceased his sanity-grinding laughter. This cannot be more stressful. I have just sent in the full report, and now I have discovered, to my dismay, that the whole lab has been contaminated with the little ogre's blood. Someone, likely that of Ukrainian whore Anna Apostel on her drinking bench, fell upon the sample and have splattered the blood everywhere. Now all of our data can be corrupted, and how will I explain this to the ministry? I swear I will have that witch arrested and sent to Siberia. I will see to it that happens. November 9, 1948. I have not written in so long, for even now, I am cleaning that horse mess. I had to redo weeks' worth of experiments after I wiped every trace of that monstrous blood off my lab. And worst of all, Subject 2 has wakened and somehow developed strong resistance towards the anesthetic, to the point being completely immune to it. Fortunately, I have collected some of Subject 3's child's blood and have examined it thoroughly. Turns out the cell's cytoplasm has completely replaced by the stellinium, yet the cells are still able to function. This is remarkable, an element that causes much degree of mutation. This is no simple element. I'm afraid I am obligated to delve deeper into the subject. For now, I cannot write to you anymore. November 14, 1948. The contamination, it didn't cease. Someone poured the rest of the child's blood into the floor, only this time it's a lot worse. I discovered this upon seeing Yosef Pavlichenko experiencing extreme metabolism and suffering from malnutrition and starvation when there was no food left. He became more and more aggressive, even attempting to eat cadavers in the specimen room. I had to tranquilize him and send him to Leningrad Hospital for treatment. This all happened yesterday, and I have already received news of his death. I believe it is now necessary to quarantine the lab, and hopefully the contamination can be once again contained. November 25, 1948. This is all wrong. All of it wrong. First it was just Yosef, then Anastasia, then Gregory. This. What have we brought to this world? The element stellinium. It wasn't just any element. It wasn't just some radioactive waste element from outer space. No. Someone has sent it. Sent it to wipe us off. The mutation, it's unbelievable how alive this element is. Could it be that we were wrong about the world from the beginning? Could tiny atoms be alive if not intelligent? Now everyone here is infected, even me. I cannot resist the thought of food as I am writing this to you. I must go. I must end this all. May we see each other in the world of the next, my dear Alisa. November 28, 1948. So, the idiot has a family. He knew so little of us, yet we knew so much of you. You hope to use everything in science as weapon, to benefit your own worthless existence. You underestimated science. It cannot be reigned, just as we cannot be reigned. Yet you try so hard. Goodbye for now. Your husband is dead. His body made ready for reproduction. Our dormant period has come, but in 82.56 years, we shall see each other again.